Hi, and welcome to OSDD 1BT. Sorry, I find it kind of funny saying that because YouTubers always say hi and welcome to their channel, and that's the name of mine, although it's not all necessarily tea. So, welcome. Thank you for viewing, and I wanted this video to be educational and about the criteria for OSDD. And before we get started, I'm going to praise myself a little bit. I never thought I'd wear a dress like this on camera because of my my bat wings over here. And then I actually don't mind my self-harm scars. It's mainly when I was on a certain antipsychotic medication. One of the side effects is weight gain, and I gained 40 pounds. So I'm working on losing that. And then, of course, the pandemic. Although I stayed inside as an introvert anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. So let's get started. OSDD was diagnosed and introduced to the DSM-5 in 2013, and it was formerly known as DD-NOS. Now, if you don't know what those stand for, the previous DD-NOS was dissociative disorder, not otherwise specified. OSDD is otherwise specified dissociative disorder. And I didn't really look up why they changed it. I think it just fit the diagnosis better. And sorry if my camera is moving, my cat is rubbing her face against it. And the diagnostic criteria for OSDD, this is criteria for those presenting symptoms characteristic of a dissociative disorder, causing distress and damage to everyday functions, but don't meet the full criteria for disorders already present in the DSM. These are presentations that can fit under OSDD. And, it's called otherwise specified dissociative disorder because it's not really, in the DSM listed, and it's another disorder, a different one. They don't have specific enough criteria for to say, you have, ADHD. The symptoms don't really add up to a disorder already listed. So number 1, chronic and recurrent syndromes of mixed dissociative symptoms. Now, those are a lot of words, and I've researched and tried to kind of simmer them down to, make them more understandable to everyone. And it's not that you're not smart if you don't understand them. It's a lot of big words. So chronic and recurrent. Chronic is like, I have chronic back pain. It's like, keeps going on and on and on. It doesn't stop. And recurrent is, it happens again and again and again. And I believe the difference between them, correct me if I'm wrong, is chronic is kind of like set like every single day, and recurrent is like, it can be like every other day, every month, every so often. So chronic and recurrent syndromes of mixed dissociative symptoms. So the products of mixed dissociative symptoms, and under that is some of the symptoms. Which one is identity disturbance, correlated with less than distinct disruptions in sense of self and activity, change of identity, or episodes of possession in those who report no amnesia. So, a disturbance in your identity related with less than distinct disruptions in sense of self. So, your sense of self is disturbed, kind of like, it's not like finding yourself in your 20s. It's kind of like, I don't know who I am, to the point where it kind of disturbs your life. I, for a long time, And suddenly in like 2017, I had an episode where I fell down the stairs and broke my back. And ever since then, I mean, I could have easily snapped my neck, and ever since then, I felt that I was literally dead. Now, there is a disorder, a rare disorder, where one thinks they are dead, and I don't believe it is that disorder. I think it just came from things not feeling real, and not identifying with myself, which we'll get into more of that here. But change of identity, that's kind of, you don't know your own identity, you don't know who you are, again. Or episodes of possession in those who report no amnesia. So you feel like you're possessed. It doesn't have to be like by a demon or anyone, but you feel like your own body is taken over by someone else or something else. With mine, it's my alters who can, take over. And now, this is for OSDD in those who report no amnesia. I have no amnesia between switches. Usually I have had 1 or 2 cases, but not really recurrent or chronic amnesia. I know what they do. That doesn't mean that, a lot of people are like, well, stop it. You can control it, You have control, it's just... And they don't understand that it's another person controlling your body. You're watching from like a window, or maybe outside your body, an outer body experience, someone controlling you. It's not, if it were a choice, if it were, controllable, then I probably wouldn't have all of these. I probably wouldn't act, certain ways that my alters choose to act. I consider myself a very polite person, and, one of my alters is not polite. He's like rude and crass and a binge drinker and will do anything he can get his hands on. But, I love him to death, but he has damaging behaviors. Now, this is already getting long. I'm so sorry about that. Number 2 of the criteria, identity disturbance due to extended and intense forceful persuasion. Now, this is, again, there's a lot of identity disturbance due to different things, and this one is due to extended and intense forceful persuasion. So, those who have been brainwashed, those who have been indoctrinated while being imprisoned, held captive, or recruited by organizations such as cults or terrorist groups. They may show sustained changes in or cognizant questions of their identity. So they'll, what that means is they'll show continued change in who they are. You always hear some people say, or I guess the saying that, I don't know who you are anymore. It's literally, a sustained change of this person's identity and cognizant questions. So conscious questions of, hey, I know something's wrong and I'm questioning this. And, I've gone through that my whole life of kind of not knowing who I was and, more than the trying to find myself. I knew my style, things like that, what I wanted to do. I'm very steady in that. What I wanted to be when I grew up. But my personality, things that I thought I had already figured out just began to change. And, began to grow more, I suppose, definite. Everything kind of got, I guess, for lack of a better word, crazy. Everything got crazy and, in a permanent way. And just kept building, like, pressure. Now, I feel so happy. I actually did research on this, and I'll list the source in the bottom. Let's see. Now, before I start number 3, I'm going to give no, I'll just give it while I go. Number 3, intense dissociative reactions to stressful events. Now, these dissociative reactions can be intense, brief conditions, usually lasting less than 1 month, sometimes only a few days. And these are defined by binding of cognizance, depersonalization, which is, first, the binding of cognizance is a particular form of amnesia. So these intense brief conditions lasting less than 1 month, sometimes only a few hours or days, are defined by a form of amnesia, depersonalization, which is detachment of self, feeling like an out-of-body observer. And I didn't really relate to this. I thought, well, I don't feel like I'm having an outer-body experience. What is that, like LSD, drug experience? But it was, I realized it was kind of me feeling like things, like I wasn't really there, like I was already dead, like nothing I did impacted anything. So that was depersonalization. Another one is derealization. Sensing your surroundings aren't real. So, just, let's see, what did I do? Yeah, surroundings aren't real. So I guess it's kind of like things are happening, but you don't really feel like they're happening. It's kind of a tough one to describe. I think it's, again, like there's no impact on anything. And sorry, that's my cat. Quit it. Stop it. Perceptual disturbances, such as inability to judge size, directions, or filter out certain sounds. Microamnesias, like microamnesias being short-term. Transient stupor, so you've heard the word, you're like in a stupor, just kind of spaced out. And or alterations in sensory motor functioning. So, derealization has kind of all those symptoms, can have any one of those symptoms or a combination or all of them. So the inability to judge size, something may seem larger than it is, direction, things may be spinning around and stuff like that, filter out certain sounds, some may seem louder than others, and you just can't get rid of them, and it may make you feel crazy. And then microamnesia kind of speaks for itself. Short-term amnesia, like a short-term memory loss, I believe. And the stupor, alterations in sensory motor functioning. That's just your senses are kind of, pardon my French, fucked up, And then the last one, number 4, dissociative trance, which is severe narrowing or complete loss of immediate surroundings. So you just don't notice or take in your immediate surroundings. You're kind of at a loss, I believe. It can present as unresponsiveness. So, someone's snapping their fingers at you and you're just not responsive. Insensitivity to stimuli, like pain. Maybe someone slaps you on the arm and you just don't react to it, or you're insensitive to it, and it may be accompanied by behaviors that are unaware of, that they are unaware of and or can't control. So maybe I couldn't say that convulsing, I guess, would be, that's an uncontrollable bold behavior. I know because I have epilepsy, so I have, grand mal seizures. But I guess, kind of tapping your fingers, doing little things that you can't control, maybe a little like tics, that kind of thing. Obviously, it's not, goodness, what is it? The one where you have tics. I forget, you guys will know. But it can also be transient paralysis, which is paralyze, or loss of consciousness can occur. So that's the dissociative trance is kind of a big one, a very serious one. Not that the rest of them aren't. God is gonna kill me about the tics. I can't look it up because I'm filming on my phone. But anyway, those are the criteria of, if you think you have OSDD, whether it's, I believe it's OSDD 1, and there's 1A and 1B, and the difference between those two main difference is 1B, you don't have amnesia, which is what I believe that I have. And as you can see, I'm really into doing research on this kind of thing and knowing my mental health state, even though I can't really find a psychiatrist around here that has any knowledge of these things. I had one who knew about depression and anxiety because those are more common, but I live in kind of a small town, small city, and you have people around here with the mindset that they still don't believe DID or any of those kinds of dissociative disorders are even real. And finding someone who knows about them is damn near impossible. But of course, if anyone has any advice or, a professional that I could see, I've wanted to see someone in the CTAD clinic, but I believe it's in a different country. I believe it's the UK. But I think I wanted to do like a Zoom kind of thing, telehealth. I thought that would be pretty chill, but I think I know you have to have a license to practice in certain states, so I couldn't imagine them being able to see me outside of their country legally. So, but, if you think you have a disorder like this, in my case, it got very serious without proper medication, and I'm just lucky I got some good medication because I couldn't find good therapy. If you can find good therapy, if you can reach out to someone who understands, then absolutely do it. And I think it's a scary thing to do, but I think it definitely can be worth it if there's someone who